And at first, I started writing it about this girl. I had written a poem previously for this girl, and I performed it like publicly. And like I knew that only she would get it out of like the entire crowd. So I'm like, yo, I'm gonna perform this, and she's gonna like love me back. Like that was my logic. Like I make a love poem, you love me, we get married, have a kid, buy a dog, like sell. I don't know. That's how I imagine my future going. So I killed this poem. And like I saw her afterwards, and like she looked at me, and I looked at her, and and she's like, "We'll talk about it." And I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna talk about it." And of course, I just gave my heart out on stage. So like I had planned this like event the next morning. I was like, we're gonna walk at like 6 o'clock in the morning because the sun rises at like 6:06 exactly. And like I'm gonna stand right in the east, and like as the sun's rising behind me, I'll be like, "Girl, I love you." And like. So we do that, and she's like, "Can we move it to like 7:30? And I was like, "The sun's gonna be up by then, girl. Like, you don't know my plans." So then she was like, I don't really like you. And I was like, "That's the wrong adjective. You used the wrong adjective." It was just, so long story short, like we're still really good friends. And I started writing this one about her again, just because we cool like that. And the struggle's real, for real. Pursuit, fellas, don't give up. But in the midst of, my pursuit of her, I started to realize, like, I'm selfish. Like, I expect her to do things for me and things like that. So I started getting this new perspective on love. So then I started writing this poem, and I was like, it's gonna be the same thing all over again. But as I was writing it, like, I realized how selfish I was in the act of that. So it starts off for her, but it has this shift. So I hope it blesses you. This is called The Lack of Pursuit in Pursuit. All right. As I cleverly try to write a poem in my mind about my affection and love for you at the coffee shop on First and Cedar with you sitting in front of me, your hair long and brown, usually flowing over your right shoulder, you interrupt my thoughts and say, "It's okay if you like me." Now, when I said no, because I'm a thug, you looked at me with a certain sense of disbelief. It's probably because in the millisecond of silence after those words left your lips, my heart ran into a forest barefoot, ended up at the edge of a cliff, looked down at the rushing waters, took a step back, thought about jumping, mustered up enough courage in its feeble legs to jump and leap into the unknown, ran straight for the cliff, stopped at the edge and said, "Hell no, I'm scared." That's what happened on the inside, but on the outside, I politely insinuated, "No, I didn't like you." I did that for multiple reasons, you see. I kind of love you. I mean, I love you, but just forget about the fact that I just said I love you. I usually don't do this, but can I get to know you with the lights on? You see, nowadays, society tells me that romance is supposed to be a passionate 30 minutes, but these days, men can't even last 2 minutes in the intimacy of conversation, and I'm not trying to be my father's father who loved my grandmother with 3 young undisciplined kids. I'm not trying to invest into your stock of affection and just dip out when my profit becomes a deficit. I ain't trying to say I know all there is about love. In fact, I probably know a lot more on the other side of it, but I know these days love is being painted by men only thinking about themselves, like it's just a trophy, unpolishable, getting dusty on the shelves. I mean, how many marriages end up in divorce? How many kids are like, "Mommy, where's daddy at?" How many hearts are so scarred by the past that you forgot what they looked like before the first time? I know it's scary and it hurts, but what do you do when your well runs dry? To some, I would say that your well has been dried and you just now notice that. To some, I would point straight to Jesus. To some, I would just say, I don't know. I just don't know, but like on a real though, I'm not really a love poet. Like, to be honest, whenever I try to write a love poem, I get constipated and I get like this weird like twitch in my neck. So like I look like a like it's not cool. So I stopped writing love poems because of health issues. But if I was a love poet, I'd start off with how I know that love comes from God and He's shown it through us through His grace. I'd write about how I tried playing around with my last name with your first name, and it kind of sounds a little awkward, but I think you could get used to it. I'd write about how I would never trade you for any pleasure that's on a TV or computer screen because my eyes and my heart is only for you. You see, I want that real kind of love. I want that deep kind of love that, you gotta look at this kind of love, that you have searched my heart with your hands every square inch because I got nothing to hide kind of love, that I know we're arguing and maybe we might disagree, but at the end of the night we're gonna still sleep face to face kind of love, that I know I make mistakes kind of love, that I know this is our wedding night. You had a long day, me too, I was there. But the night is far from over kind of love, that the Songs of Solomon was canonized in the Bible just for us kind of love, that funny kind of love. That funny kind of love that, like, maybe it's just because I'm a guy, but I think it's cute when you fart kind of love. But, like, don't fart on me kind of love, because I ain't trying to have a stank kind of love. You see, I apologize on behalf of all the boys pretending to be men ruining relationships. Understand that when I say I love you, I'm not saying say it back to me. Understand when I say I love you, I'm saying here's my heart. Take with it and do what you will, and if you choose not to accept it, that's okay. That's okay. You see, I'm not really a love poet, but if I was, I think I'd write about you. Thank you.